Hello everyone and welcome back to episode number 16 of the Sim Racing in Focus podcast. We talk about sim racing on this podcast and in particular the Australian iRacing scene. On tonight's episode we're going to touch on this week's Spa 24-hour event on iRacing, the DDOS attack, and preview season 4 of the upcoming Premier Endurance League. Who's talking to you? Well, my name is Dean Reddit. I am the owner and editor of Sim Racing in Focus blog site and also this podcast. It's a big welcome back to our regular co-podcaster, and that is Jacob Hughes. How you doing tonight, Jacob?
Hello. How you going?
I've missed your voice. I've missed it.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, the voice of reason.
Yeah, that's a stretch, but yeah, okay.
Well, hopefully you'll give us a little bit of comic relief anyway on tonight's episode, and we get to, whenever you're back on, we get to talk a little bit about sim racing news, and we've also got two others joining us tonight, and they are the previous guests of episode number 3 and the owners of the Premier Endurance League, and I'll toss it straight to Jimmy Middleton. Jimmy, how are you? Welcome back.
Thanks, Dino. It's good to be back. Hello, Packets.
Hey, mate. How you going?
I had to just clean up a bit of water that I spat out when you said that Packets is the voice of reason. But anyway, we'll move on. We won't get hamstrung on that one.
Yes, well, also joining us tonight is the other half of the Premier Endurance League, maybe the quiet achiever in the background. That's Ricky Provenzale. Ricky, welcome back.
Boys, how are we? Good evening. To be back again.
Yep, it's good to have you back. It's we were learning the ropes for episode number 3, so hopefully we can deliver a much more polished version tonight.
Yeah, sure we can.
I actually can't believe that it's episode 16. Not when you said that before, I was like, oh wow, I did not even realise. Like,
I know it's a lot of dribble. We'll get there out.
Especially when you're ringing Packets to come and join you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm just getting in early.
That's fine. That's fine. So yes, we've got a bit more of a relaxed sort of episode coming tonight. It's been a very busy period. We haven't been getting the podcast out as regular as what I would like to, but such is life. We'll get back there eventually one day. Packets, you've been on night shift as well, and also Jimmy, you're on that rotational shift work as well. So this episode's been long in the pipeline, but we've finally got a chance to get it up tonight.
That's it. Yep.
Should be good.
Very good. Absolutely. Well, as all good, sim racing podcast hosts, we didn't do the iRacing 24-hour this week, so we haven't got a whole lot of break. It's a problem. So that's why we've got Jimmy and Rick here. You guys, I believe, did at least register for the iRacing Spa 24-hour this weekend. So I think Jimmy, I might throw it over to
Rick,
you.
you can go first, Rick.
Did you both get a chance to get in the car?
Yeah, I did. And, it was a bit of a mare for us, really. We certainly weren't expecting 9 hours of rain and moisture on the track. So our car wasn't really set up for mixed conditions. We thought that they'll rain. It's new. They've had a few issues with the rain on iRacing, so we thought they might throw like a few hours in the middle there to spice it up a bit. Not knowing that we start the race and it's raining, and it proceeded to keep raining for the next 9 hours, and we had the usual thing, couple of tangles at the start, and then I managed to throw it in the wall at one point as well, and we sort of called it quits about 9 hours in, so we're hoping to.
Was it dry at all?
Well, not while we were there, Packets. It was, it was damp. And, you sort of get to a point, we all wanted to finish it, but you get to a point where we were like 28 laps down, and I think it was 6 or 7 laps to the next one for 30th position, and you sort of got to question how much you love sim racing at that point to want to be up at 2 o'clock in the morning just banging out laps for no real no real benefit. So
But you can't even bang out laps. You got to tightrope it around in the wet.
Oh yeah, and it was horrific too. There's a lot. We were in the Mustang, and a lot of people have said that's fairly average in the wet, and yeah, would vouch for that comment. So probably a bit better setup would have definitely helped. But yeah, she was a bit late by the time you're in the race to try and all you can pretty much do is make a couple of brake bias adjustments and a couple of roll bars and wing, but it probably needed a proper cambers and the whole works to make it at least manageable. It was just really inconsistent.
Yeah. But you just they didn't stop there for you, but did it you decided to sort of pull the pin on that? And
yeah, well,
you had another stab at the VRS 3 hour, didn't you?
At the 3 hour, I thought, the only people that are going to be in a 3 hour race on the 24 weekend are those that have already crashed out or those that aren't good enough to actually have a team together for the 24. And we thought we'd fit right in the former. And yeah, I got about it. Packets, you said my stream went for about an hour and a half, and I would suggest that 45 minutes of that was me post-race and doing a little bit of pre-race stuff. So I think I made it to probably the first pit stop where I nearly ran out of fuel, and then went for a bit of an ambitious dive, got myself a slowdown penalty, didn't clear it in time, and it came up saying you got a 42-second stop-go penalty, and I was like, you know what, this day just hasn't turned out how I was planning, so I might just park it. And that was that was the end of my 24 weekend, which is a shame, but we'll try again next year.
What were the was there a lot of people that joined the 3 hours? Was there a few splits of that still?
Yeah, I think there was 5. And
because
I was in split.
The same thing happened to us,
eh?
Yeah,
they all had 50 cars in them too. So
yeah, it's pretty crazy. So I remember when the Nürburgring 24 hours on, and that was when I had a mass computer failure, and went up pulling the pin just before it, and then we ended up doing the 3 hour that night. We all jumped on. And I remember thinking, oh, surely there's not going to be many. But, yeah, there was heaps of splits. So it was crazy. Usually you're going to get the people that sort of crashed out early in the 24 and couldn't be bothered or had a sort of similar situation as us. But, yeah, it surprised you sometimes, how many people still do the VRS at night.
Well, we actually thought our I ratings are a bit all over the place, as far as across the 4 of us. And I thought, we might even be able to scrape into the same server, but there was 50 in each room, so it was that was very surprising.
And did you get in, Ricky, yourself into the car?
Yes, we actually had a fairly successful race, despite the early dramas. I believe there was quite a few events. We actually put it on pole in our split.
Yeah, wow.
So was this VRS or this is the Spa 24?
Oh, excuse me, Spa 24.
Yep. Good.
Oh,
so Spa 24. Yep, that's good. So you and Dean were in the same car.
He set up his own server.
Yep.
I raced with the Revolution Echo team.
Yeah.
And we were lucky to have a decent result despite all the carnage at first. I believe that Josh Martinez, after putting it on pole, was actually taken out early in the race. The amount of spray in front of him at the time made it very, very difficult for him to be able to see anything that was going on, and someone had spun and basically put themselves in the centre of the track. And that was it. He just popped up out of nowhere, and next thing you know, you've got, I think it was 10 minutes of repair, something like that. So they ended up about 9 laps down, and long story short, we clawed ourselves back up to 4th.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Good effort.
Yeah.
So you experienced a lot of rain as well, or just limited to the start?
It was 85% rain, all
Wow.
wet.
Yeah, wow.
There were some increasing dry periods where you could just put the slicks on briefly, but it wasn't long before that changed again. Out of all the sessions that I've been in to date, after the latest weather release from iRacing, this was by far, I believe it was the 3rd stint that I did would be early hours of the morning in sim time, very low track temperature, very wet. It was by far the most difficult conditions I'd ever driven in. It was almost impossible just to keep the car from sliding out. In fact, I did have 2 spins at no name. I believe, at one point we were going through there, got around 70 or 80 Ks, just to try and get through safely. So it was by far the worst conditions I'd ever seen, and quite a challenge. So it was good to get that result in the end anyway.
What car did you end up running?
Ferrari.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, from what I understand, like I've spent a little time in the Ferrari. That thing is a handful in the wet.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is quite a fight. We got over it in the end. We thought, geez, it'd be nice to have a bit of wet weather, gone, and see some track drying up. But unfortunately, it just never happened.
And
it was pretty crazy too, eh? Because off you go, mate.
I was just going to say, just give us an idea. Like, what was the split? What time slots did you run, and what splits were you in?
So we ran the earlier, I believe it was the first one, the Saturday morning one.
8
a.m. or whatever it was. 8:45, I think, the start. Yeah.
Yeah. I believe we were in the 4th or the 5th split. I have to double check that. And we were probably by far, along with another car, the quickest in the field, especially in the wet. But yeah, it was surprising actually. The level of behaviour that I'd seen previously in all these special events has been pretty poor. But we were surprised how well behaved everyone was, and how people were getting along quite well, and talking over the radio and letting each other pass. And yeah, all the carnage was a lot easier to deal with when people were actually communicating properly and not being silly on track.
We had a few issues with the traffic. I think we were probably a split below you, Rick. But we had Owen's pretty handy in the wet, and even he was struggling with the Mustang. My main one that I lost it down at Puon. Are we
talking about the same Owen here?
Owen Coleman.
I thought he was 18 degrees and clear.
No, that's what he wants, but that's not what he gets. No, one of the things I really hate doing is bigging him up about like when he does good work. But I mean, he came from the back of the field in Zolder in our last season, and that was wet and just carved everyone up. And but he was. We were all struggling in the car. I mean, his struggle and mine are two very different things as well, though. Like he was still wringing its neck, and I don't know, 3-4 seconds a lap faster. But it was it was real treacherous. But I mean, it didn't get helped with a couple of like an hour into the race, and like Fozzie was doing the opening stint for us, and even in the first hour, there's people wanting to do sends, and you just like, you know what, there's 23 and a half hours left of this race. Why are you doing that now? But, that could well have been their first time at it and don't really understand the consequences of such moves. So, but yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, eh? Like you and me especially, we've had a lot of conversations about the hype with the Mustang being released, and like, like people close to me know how excited I was for it, and then people also know how my view has changed. I want to know, Jimmy, now that you've had the car and you've had some time of it, how do you feel about the Mustang now?
I sort of a bit like yourself, Packets. I committed so hard to it. It was I still love it. The noise it makes is brilliant, but you definitely know that you're driving a big, fat, heavy American car. I'd be lying if I'd said I didn't have a couple of moments where I'm like, oh, should I just stick with the Ferrari? Because I sort of felt like at Spa at the end of the season, I'm like, this is really weird, because I sort of felt like I finally got a bit of a grip on how to get it into the window to run, not as fast as a lot of the blokes, but like actually be properly competitive in it. And I'm going to just chuck all that away now to go to a front engine car. And I'm so committed, I've got to stay with it. So it'll probably be 2 or 3 seasons of struggling and just trying to work out the sweet spot for getting it set up for tracks. But I think it'll be strong on some and it'll be weak on others. I think it's probably the Ferrari was really nimble through corners, I found anyway, once you got it set up right. But the Mustang's...
It's pretty funny because all week on the VRS sprints, all week, the Ferrari was a demon.
Yeah.
And then they did a quick BOP change just before the weekend. And sure enough, all the top splits ended up being, what were they?
BMWs, yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like, wow, they really flipped that on its head because that was Ferrari all week. Like, yeah, it was looking like Ferrari.
I'd noticed that in one of the practice sessions one of the official practices, what we did, I'm like, geez, there's a lot of Ferraris in this room. And then, come the race, there wasn't as many.
Yeah, I think they put weight in the Ferrari and they added some power, took power to it, I'm pretty sure, from memory.
Yeah, right.
That's a pretty good nerf, isn't it?
Yeah.
A bit more than what we'd normally see, and I can't remember the exact number.
Yeah.
But, we all knew it was coming.
Yeah. But with the whole Ford situation, I was so let down by it, I won't lie. I was so hyped for it, and then I did laps at a track. I can't remember what track it was, and I remember just jumping straight back into the Lambo, and I was instantly like nearly a second quicker on like a cold set of tires, and I was just like, oh my god. And then obviously Premier's coming up, so I've just been trying to figure out what car I'm running, and then like at the end of it all, I always jump back in the Lambo for a quick lap, and I'm find out that I'm quicker in the Lambo still, and I'm like,
yeah, but that's what you're used. That's what you're used to.
I know.
And
but I tell the boys
beyond that.
Yeah, I know. I'm telling the boys, I'm like, no matter what happens, don't let me drive the Lambo because I did this last season.
You'll regret it. Yeah, that's right.
Don't let me do it.
Can you imagine what we're doing? We're doing nothing but trying to push him to drive the Lambo. Like, so he's waited so long for that car to be relevant, and now that it's relevant, it's like watching someone just go through an inner battle. Like, he committed to the Mustang 6 weeks out, and now the Lambo. There's just like all the signs point towards the Lambo for Premier.
Oh dear!
So I said to Dean a few weeks back, I was like, dude, look at this! Like all the top split, like in all the VRSs every week now. Like the Lambo's been the pick. Like what does that mean? Like, should I run the Lambo?
100% you should. Oh, what about But we Jimmy, you were talking before. You noted that the broadcast top split, no rain.
Yeah, well, not the brief glimpses that I've had a look at it. It's just looked like perfect weather.
It's still probably going at this stage, wouldn't it? But
I'd say there's probably another hour or so left, I think. Or an hour and a half maybe, yeah. But, just bizarre that you got the best of the best, like the proper alien drivers. Give them 9 hours of rain and because I think there'd be quite a few blokes who, in the lesser splits that would love to see some elite carnage, if you want to put it that way. Just whether they would or not, who knows? But it's also good to get sort of compare your times to what the proper aliens are doing in the wet as well. I just thought it was. I found it amusing that they broadcast that one, and that's their big time feature event, and they just rolled out the red carpet for them. Here you go, fellas, have an easy run.
Ricky,
I just found that bizarre.
Do you think Ricky, as a league owner, that it might have something to do with broadcast quality?
I think there was a number of contributing factors there that would be very high on the list.
Yeah.
So Jimmy, just to maybe aggravate you a little bit more, I've just had a quick flick through the broadcast of the top split, and it looks like about 2 hours ago it may have rained for about 40 minutes.
Just enough to get the wets on.
The poor little darlings. Yeah, that'll be right.
They had to wait. I reckon through the grapevine, they've had to wait till Verstappen got out of the car and then they let it rain.
Oh,
They just didn't know when he was going to get in there, but now he's out and he's preparing for his gimmick race or whatever he's got to do tonight. Yeah, like
for his part-time job.
Everyone, the rain's coming. Yeah.
Remember his reaction when they had that failure? Was it on R Factor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Imagine if it went bad with weather in iRacing.
Are you onto it,
Yeah.
Ricky?
Yeah.
Conspiracy theories here for sure. Because like you said, Jimmy was saying before, they've had all sorts of dropout issues with the rain as well, haven't they? So, they didn't want to run the risk of all the dropouts happening while Verstappen was live on air and get the ridicule.
Well, look, as all jokes aside, it's a serious thing for them to consider. These sorts of events.
I don't know that they can update the weather out on the fly, though, with it, could they?
No, probably not.
So that would have had to have been predetermined, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, but they also would know when he's racing at Hungaroring and what time the race usually is and when he probably sleeps. So they go, okay, so we know he's going to do this at this time. He'll be sleeping about this time at Hungaroring.
You're only guessing though, because I reckon when the Nürburgring 24 was on, it was like, oh no, that was they were in Vegas, weren't they? Was that last year? They must have been. They were in one of the American ones. It was just weird, like he was out of the, whatever time it was in the middle of the night that he was doing his stints for the 24.
He might have had to prioritise some sleep now that McLarens are now relevant. Like
maybe.
Yeah.
If we had gone back five rounds ago and he was winning races by 15, 20 seconds, could probably do it on 2 hours sleep.
Could probably start the race 3 laps behind to make sure he could finish the Enduro on the computer first and still win.
If he doesn't do good tonight, they might pull him aside and go, "Oi, mate, you can't play your PlayStation at the track anymore. Like, you have to stop." Like,
we're taking your toys
put your
off.
wheel away. Yeah, just put your wheel away, son. Get back to racing.
I'll just go, well, I'll just point the finger across the garage and go, don't you think you should be worried about this bloke next to me that can't keep it out of the fence in Q1?
I mean, there's probably a bit of a case to say that the only reason that any of the others are that quick is after Sergio walled at Monaco, like a year and a half ago? No. And everybody in the pit lane got a nice look underneath their car and all of a sudden everyone else sort of seems to have caught up a bit after that. But I'll just go get me tinfoil hat.
Yes. It's been quite the week for conspiracies, really, hasn't it, Rick?
Oh boy.
We won't go there, don't worry.
You can go wherever you like, it's not a problem.
What are you, 150 metres? Like, is that a pretty easy shot or what? Let's move on. So you didn't experience any issues with your servers then, Rick? No.
Well, Jimmy wasn't there.
That's right.
We did actually have an issue.
You did?
Yes, one of our... Actually, I completely forgot. We actually had someone have a disconnect mid-stint, which is obviously quite a bad thing. Costs you a lot of time. And I myself, when I was at the... not the UI menu, the actual in-game menu, I was attempting to flick something around in a replay, and it just jammed on me. All of a sudden, it needed to be restarted and refreshed. Luckily, although it was quite slow, it allowed me to get back in and rejoin, and that was it. But we had a number of other people that we were aware of had some issues that we've all kind of been talking about in recent times regarding the weather and that. So yeah, with a bit of luck, as we go on, things will improve in that regard.
I have a feeling that some of those replay issues and stuff was more around the CrowdStrike problem that swept the web. Because I know a couple of hours. I mean, I hadn't even turned my computer on up until the morning of the race, and I didn't have any issues. But I know that the other boys, they did, and it was around that. They were all too afraid to hit the fast forward or the button on the replay to change it up. So I think that was sort of related to that. That could have been an absolute catastrophe too, with all that happening the night before.
One thing I noticed was it was during someone's stream over the weekend, and it must be something that was only recently brought out because I have not seen it. Mind you, I haven't done a single endurance event this year, but is there a button in the top left now, a yellow button, when you're spotting someone that you can actually request the car to tow back on them? Is that right? When the car's stopped?
Oh, I'm not familiar with it myself.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, I seen it on someone's stream the other day. So basically, if someone has a hardware failure or whatever, or drops out, you can actually click and hit tow on the top left. There's like a little yellow thing now, and you click on it, and it goes request to tow a car. So you'd have to wait and sit for them to either have a packet loss or the fact that they can't do anything if they freeze up. I thought that was pretty cool, but I have to look into it, because like I don't remember reading or seeing that anywhere on any release. It sort of snuck under the radar, that one.
Yeah. No, I can't say I've noticed that one. I'll keep an eye on it for the future.
It sounds like a good addition if it did happen, but
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so you're picking up on the where I was going there, and obviously last week there was a fair bit of iRacing down for maintenance notifications coming through on my phone, at least from the app. And there was a prolonged, they're calling it a DDoS attack. Now, this is the part where I just acknowledge that I'm a boomer and I have no idea what that means, and I throw it over to the voice of wisdom, which I hope he's done the research. Packets, do you have any idea what this is?
That's a hell of a gamble.
Yeah. He'll watch some Mexican streamer and he's picked up all the information. Don't you worry.
100%. Long story short, it's just it's a complicated thing, but it's done in a simplistic way. But basically, it just loads their servers up. So basically, loads them up to the point that they can't function. And then anybody trying to connect to that server just either drops out or locks up or freezes. Like I think when they had it the first time, it was during what was on? There was an event on. I can't remember if it was the Creventic 24 for Daytona or something. Something was on. Yeah, I think it was the Creventic 24 for Daytona. I think it was the first split or the first two splits. Oh, sorry, time slots that actually got locked up. So basically, like people were signing up to it and they're like, oh, what's going on? And it'd sit there for like an hour and it'd be like, out of nowhere, it'll finally come up, join race, and then they'll get into the race and realize that they're like freaking 23 laps down already. Like it was just, so a lot of people lost a lot of iRating, and a lot of people, I don't think really anyone got it back, but there's been a lot of weird conspiracy things floating around since that.
That's what we're here for. Let's get. We've got lots. We're going through some tinfoils.
So we should have bought JP.
Yeah.
I don't think we've got that much time, and I don't have the crayons to explain at the moment. I love you, JP, but
fire out.
We have to go to I can't believe what's Larko Jimmy's whiteboard, like Larko's tech corner or whatever it is. Go on,
go down the Jimmy hub.
Once you've gone down there, there's no coming back.
I don't know. Packets has crawled out of some of the darkest spaces of his own man.
Oh, far out. But so there was a conspiracy rolling around with the fact that it was the open beta release for Rennsport, which pretty much happened about the same time. So there were people that were sort of speculating on the fact that it was someone from Rennsport that had organised the DDoS. And the other one was a screenshot that was like pretty much instantaneously taken down from the iRacing forum. And it was speculating that it wasn't a DDoS attack and that it was actually people had hacked into iRacing and stolen everyone's information, and that they're lying to us. So take what you want, what you will out of that.
Both are very believable examples.
Well, it's like I said to Packets during the week. I said they can't get any information that wasn't stolen already in the Trading Paints hack.
Yeah, that's right.
I know. I think I was like, I was frustrated because I didn't want to have to go through the process of changing my key card for the fourth time this year. I literally only got I got my bank account got hacked. Honestly, not even 2 months ago, and I just got a new key card. So I'm like thinking, oh, here we go, not again. Like it's just
Well, I think with the whole trading paints one, the biggest thing I was worried about was someone hacking and stealing my Peppa Pig livery.
Oh, was that you?
And so the outage that was on Friday night, so when when iRacing went down, because the DDoS was earlier in the week, wasn't it? And then it went down again on Friday.
A couple of times.
Yeah.
It's gone down heaps in the last couple of weeks.
So was the one on Friday the same thing, or was it more related to the CrowdStrike thing?
I'm just joining dots and having a stab that it's all around the CrowdStrike thing, because that's
the Friday was the CrowdStrike one.
Yeah.
I believe they were separate issues. In regards to the first one, you normally look at the person who seems to benefit the most from the circumstances. And let's be honest, it's quite a coincidence that we see a release from a major, player looking to come onto the scene, and this happens.
Yeah.
It's a hard one to swallow.
I know.
So anyway,
Some would argue it should have been swallowed.
I was actually watching with quite a bit of curiosity about Rensport when that came out, but I don't know. I'm still not sold on it, but it looked like it was going to be the goods, and then what was half their stuff was all just ripped out of R Factor, and that's the bits that I'd seen last about it. But there's been no real, unless you go looking for it, you're not sort of finding out much about it. And I watch a fair bit of sim stuff, but
man, their approach of a release has blown my mind. Like they've shown really sort of nothing. And they've put so much money into all these esport series that nobody watches, and you can't have any more than 10 cars on a grid, and it's just the amount of money they're pouring into it and getting no viewers and no return. And I'm just what? I don't understand the way they promote it, and they're not really releasing anything.
No.
Yeah, and I'm just where are they heading with this? Because initially they were just we're just doing GT3s, and then they released Porsche Cup, and they're what are they saying now? They're going to do GT4s, I think. And I'm just hang on. I thought you were just doing GT3s. But now they're just doing this drib and drab thing of everything. And it just, to me, it makes no sense. I just don't get what they're doing.
Yeah. I was really hoping that having another solid competitor for iRacing would sort of push iRacing along, because I think probably the main thing I think that needs or could do with improving with iRacing would be the graphics engine in it, and probably the sound. And I thought, that might be just enough to push iRacing into getting those changes happening. But it's just, I think they know that they've, by and large, iRacing is just such a stable platform for everyone. And it's easy to use, and you don't have to go, you don't have to go fishing for servers. There's always people racing. They've got it done right, but you always want better, don't you?
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, they're touching back on Ricky's point. They're probably not short of the cash to be able to stage an attack on iRacing, but to start up your game launch by buying a grid is an interesting approach.
Yeah, well. Yeah, the most I've seen of it's when probably 12 months ago or 18 months ago, and they got a dozen big name streamers over to, I think it was at the Nürburgring, and they set them all up on Sims there and said, here you go, you can do 3 laps or something. That was all they could do with it. And I was just well, where's the rest? But anyway.
Well, have you seen it now? If you buy the Ultimate Bundle on the open beta, you can actually get your name on there track. Like their ultimate bundle, there's like a test track on it, and you can actually get your name. There's a section of the track with all these names on the ground. You can get your name on there. So
selling gimmicks. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh well, to each their own. They'll probably have people that do it, but
Yeah.
I reckon Owen's probably already done it.
probably.
Oh,
He just won't tell it. He won't tell anyone though. Yeah. No, yeah. Any time there's competition it's good for the consumer, but
Yeah, 100%.
yeah, she's fallen short, I reckon.
Yeah,
it's just taken so long. Like I should really look into it more before I really like come down on it. And I'm biased a little bit towards iRacing, I know, like, but it feels like, you know, guys like Josh Rogers, Dane Warren, like the best that the Australia's got to offer, have been trapped in that environment for like 2 years and can't race in the Super Cup. Like the
Is this another conspiracy theory? Were you going to say Dane Warren's been held against his will by Red Sport?
Well, I'm sure he's not against his will, but like it's quite clear that it's gone there, and like there's no product. There's no product for anyone to get in there and race with them. But like they can't go and do past. Like I don't pretend to know exactly what their circumstances are. Maybe they're sick of iRacing, but it doesn't look like that on the surface. And I'm just thinking to myself, wow, we're missing out.
Yeah,
It's always about money.
Cash.
It's always a driving factor, mate, with this stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm sure, yeah, like I said, like they've probably, like I'm just assuming, but they've probably paid them good money to go there on the proviso that they don't continue to race iRacing at the top level. So
inevitably, yep. Which is if you're gonna pay someone to do it, then that's what you are going to put those. Yeah, that's smart business sense in a way from them to do so. But then that's where it comes down to the competitor to work out what's in his best interests for his future.
Yeah, and then just the weird way they've gone about it. They've done that too for the last 2 years, but they haven't got a product out that anyone can go and buy. So what's the point of it?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, there's still no triple support or anything for it. Like it's
bizarre, just bizarre.
Yeah,
Whoever signed those contracts is
so talking
convinced.
I was going to say we got contracts coming out for Premier Endurance League, Rick, or what's
Oh.
No, okay. I'll take that as a no.
I don't see that happening anytime soon. But we can talk about it if it makes you feel better.
Hey, but you know what? If Rensport want to come to us and give us a boatload of cash, we can talk.
I was going to say, in all seriousness,
they're probably going to need more than 10 cars on the grid, unfortunately for us. But
for those guys that signed, I honestly reckon either they were very convincing, making them think that this was going to be the new premier stage, or that number on the piece of paper was really big, and they didn't care what the outcome was in the end.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
reality.
Yeah, because it's pretty much brought that whole Coanda Sim sport out. Like they were pinnacle on the iRacing stage. Coanda, they got the house over there. They're moving. The fact that they flew those guys over there to live in that house, assuming. Like I know that they were over there. Like they had it all going for it, and then they signed this. So you've got to suspect that it's a too good to refuse offer.
Oh yeah. We never know.
Yeah. Could even
maybe they gave them share options. Who knows?
I was about to say the same thing. Like there could have been it's almost like
not that worked out too well for Fanatec shareholders, but anyway, that's a whole other.
That was brutal.
The whole was a very good descriptive word.
Yeah. Oh no! Do any of you follow golf at all?
Little bit.
It's almost like
not really, but it is good to watch every now and again.
It's almost like the Live Tour that's just come into golf and just it's the Saudis that have just thrown like ridiculous
Bucket
amounts
loads
of
of cash at it.
brought out the PGA Tour's best players and sort of just gone from there.
The trouble with that comparison is that Live Golf was actually successful, and like everyone else took it on rather than just sort of looking at it and going, nah.
Yeah, but I don't know if sim racers will be getting the 800 million that Tiger Woods was offered to go and play in the Saudi league.
Probably not.
You got 800 million reasons to make it work there, right there. And but they were doing it like, there's like 15 teams of 4 golfers, and the big stars, like the top 20 in the world rankings, will get offered this ridiculous win for a cash, but also then a ownership into their own team. So Cam Smith has. It might be I don't know if it's a 49% or a 51% controlling share of his team in that league.
Yeah.
And then those players then go and recruit for that team. Anyway, so it kind of just reminds me of that they would start out by like just essentially buying out a grid before they even have a game.
Yeah.
Or a simulator, sorry. Anyway.
Could turn out to be very interesting, and in the next 3 weeks there'll be this major announcement of something or other, and we're all just going to be sitting here going, wow, we missed out that. We didn't see that coming, but
yeah,
I don't think that's going to happen, but...
It wouldn't be the first time I've got egg on our face if we get it wrong. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we can just delete the podcast then. We don't worry about it. And then we retroactively record another one.
I'll just cut this last 15-minute chat out altogether.
That's right. Yeah.
And then re-release.
Yep.
All right, Rick. Well, let's get into talking a little bit more about the Premier Endurance League and the league that you guys are successfully running. And we like I said before, we did touch on it in episode 3, and we sort of had a bit of a conversation about running leagues and stuff like that. But it's probably fair to say that the league's still going strength to strength, and we'll hopefully deflect this conversation now into previewing what's going to be season 4 of the league. So I think it broke over the weekend that the grid's now full, mate. So perhaps you could just fill us in about what's going on there.
Yes. So here we are again about to kick off. We're a week away. We've been, again, pretty successful and overwhelmed with the number of entries that have come through. I believe that we had, I think the majority of the grid packed out in the first week after releasing season 4. We've recently undergone a major facelift across all areas related to the league itself. This is through admin processes and things like that as well. And then we've gone through all the forgive me, I'm not prepared for this, but all the race control and broadcasting, as well as all our imagery and marketing material that we're using now, and also the methods that we employ to do so. So it's been a big build-up, and it looks like everything's paid off. All the hard work that's gone into it in the last few months has been quite well received, and it's been worth it. And it's very exciting now. We've got a big grid ready to go. At Navarra, I believe, is our first track this season.
Round 1, yep.
Yeah.
So you went all new graphics, logos, a lot of sort of detail put into, I guess, the advertisement material. So yeah, it all took a big professional upswing, didn't it? Really, in the last couple of weeks.
It did. Yep. That was something we'd been working on pretty much all through last season as well. So we sort of brought it on all in one, maybe over the course of a week it all sort of started to filter out. But this is stuff that we'd been working on in the background for probably, I'd say nearly 6 months. It was a lot of work, and then you sort of think when the last season's finished that, and there was 8 weeks between seasons, that we've got a bit of time to just sort of chill out and smell the roses, so to speak. But we were pretty much the day after Spa, we were back into just, nutting out the final items that we wanted to get out the way leading into season 4. And, it's just been pretty hectic, but here we are on the eve of it, and it's all been, it's made everything a lot smoother for us, and hopefully it's made it a lot easier for the drivers coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you caught the eye of Packets, and he's now infiltrated the Premier Endurance League in an official capacity. So maybe not the clientele you were aiming for, but it worked on somebody.
It gets the low stand. We set low standards, and if we overachieve, that's a bonus. That's no. Packets has been. I don't like bigging up certain people, and Packets is one of them. But he has been very, very helpful to us in the past with, photography and some of the stuff that he puts in our Discord gives us a laugh. So it's good having him on board. And I mean, not that I get to that often, but we've had a couple of stoushes on the track. I always love racing against him, so it's good to have him signed up and officially in for the season. Hopefully he's not going to run that Lambo.
I'm honestly pretty pumped. But you just freaked me out before, Ricky, because you just said, it's a week to go, and I still don't know what car I'm running. So the anxiety's starting to set in a bit.
There's a lot of messages coming in from a lot of people in the same position. Don't worry.
It's so hard too, because a lot of the tracks that we're running, not a lot, but there's a good few tracks that we're running that are unfamiliar tracks, and recently new tracks. So I don't really know what sort of how the cars are going to sort of handle there. There's a couple there which I'm pretty confident about, but I don't know. It's obviously going to be, just by looking at it, it's going to be a pretty dominant rear to mid-engine car season. But it could go either way. You never know what iRacing's like with BOPs and how they go about things these days. But we thought the Mustang and the Corvette were going to come out pretty dominant as they normally do, but that was quite the opposite of iRacing normality, and they've just flopped them both a little bit. But
I was sort of hoping it'd come out burst onto the iRacing scene like the Porsche did.
Yeah,
and I'd just be you might as well have been racing GT4s against it, but I don't know. Maybe I wanted it too much and it just didn't happen.
I honestly don't know how you could get yourselves that worked up about it and expect, and to have your expectations that high. Excuse me, it baffles me.
Because it's a quality vehicle, Rick.
But is it actually doing anything in the real world? Apart from being...
it's not.
It's only just launched.
So I don't know. I guess iRacing's supposed to be, maybe the Porsche was dominant in the real world when they launched the new Porsche. Probably not as dominant as what they made it in iRacing, but at least it was somewhat believable. Having a dominant Mustang is not believable at all. It's just an overglorified hole puncher out there for the rest of the other cars.
Glorified hole puncher.
Do you want to take it from here, Packets? Or?
Well, my question was on the back of Ricky's just before. Ricky, do you know what car you're running this season?
Well, I haven't actually.
He's going to run the photocopier salesman car again.
Oh no!
Of course he is.
I'm honestly stuck between Porsche and the Ferrari.
Oh wow! Turn it up, and he rolls up.
You better not rock
BMW.
You better not.
Yeah. No one believed that comment whatsoever.
I'll be the least of your problems, boys, on race day. That's all I'm going to say.
Dino's listeners have just tuned out. That's not what we're here for.
Well, before we get into the car talk too much, before we get in, just I wanted to nut out one more fact. But do you have the amount of people that have signed up now?
Yes, we will have 59.
59. Yeah. And just the quick question that I want to ask before we go into the car chat is, and it's still intended to be one split, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I like. So what is the maximum? What's the maximum you can run? Obviously, there will be round availabilities, it's probably highly unlikely and fair to say that 59 may not turn up on the night, but maybe for round one they might.
We know we'll have two people missing for round one. They've already let us know that they won't be able to make it, but they're entered in for the full season. So we will have 2 individual spots available for entry, which may or may not be filled, but regardless, we'll have 56 plus, from what I can work out so far.
That is going to be insane.
Yes, yeah, so it's
and that's what I love about. That's what I love about this league is just, so many other leagues would be tempted to split that over 2 splits or potentially 3, but like GT3 racing is big grids, and it's just awesome.
Like when we get to a figure that. See, the thing is, like you get, like Rick was saying just before, you get the odd round where people can't make it or whatever. Round one's generally the big field. That's probably the biggest one we'll get for the season, and then you get the odd one here and there where there's people can't make it or whatever. But when there's enough demand on top, we'll probably look into splitting it, but it's so much work for just the one split that we've got. Yeah, it's effectively doubling our workload, and yeah. But if the demand's there, we'll do it.
Yeah, it is something that we think in the end is probably going to be inevitable. The rate of growth that we're seeing, most likely, I would say, in the future, it's going to have to happen. But we'll just wait and see. Let's see how things play out. Now, the whole idea of what we're doing at the moment in regards to refinement and all aspects of the league itself is to grow, is to bring more members in. We are quite large already and have quite a few people amongst our social media followings, but obviously, we want to keep continuing with that, and to have a second split where we can actually separate the 2 classes would be ideal, because it does actually solve a few problems for us as well, which we're having to get around with other things, which create more work for us. So yeah, definitely something that is looking to happen. And actually, if you have a look, guys, I'll see some examples of some new material that's going to be coming out in our Discord chat we've got together. We are looking to move into a slightly different scene and have an open type event that is going to be a proper premier style event that will attract, obviously, the biggest names around in this region. But it's all, bit by bit. There's a lot of work to go, but we are very, very close now to what we would consider as well and truly ready to deal with whatever we have come at us, whether it be volume, formality, admin systems, all that sort of stuff is definitely well and truly ready to be dealing with that sort of thing. So it's exciting stuff, and now we just have to be patient and wait.
It's looking good. You just have to look at some of this material. Like it's exciting times. A little bit. Well, hopefully you get that much interest that we can have 2 splits of 50 cars. That'd be amazing.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah, rather than just getting 1 split of 50 frames a second.
Yeah.
Well, look, all jokes aside, there are concerns for us, especially with some of the new features being introduced from iRacing. The things that we have to consider, having a high quality broadcast, to have the other things necessary to run the league in place is very, very important. So if we can, find a way to make the effect, a little less on people's systems and the broadcasters' systems, things like that, we'll definitely look to do that as well. There's a lot of things here that could benefit from that sort of change. So you never know. You never know. It could happen sooner rather than later. It could be a fair while off yet. We will definitely be aiming to have it a bit sooner. But yeah, we'll just have to work out now the sort of approach we need to take to bring new people in. And I think one of the steps that we took this season being better value is probably a bit of a focus we'll have for the future again. introducing another 2 rounds at no extra cost to the competitors for their entry, I think was an important step. Adding better value to the, I guess, the overall product, so to speak, is important as well.
And just while you're on that, just talk about what does the season look like? How many rounds is it now? What's the race type?
7 rounds. 7 rounds,
Yep,
2-hour races.
Yep. So that's up from. Is it still just going to be over 6 months? So you're just going more, or is it going to be a longer season?
No, it'll still be over 6 months.
Yeah.
So we've kind of jumbled the dates around to suit.
It might actually be a little bit less than 6 months because we're kicking off the end of July, and then I think our last rounds mid-December, or like
December 15th.
Off the top of the head, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at it here. So you got round 1, Navarra, July 28th, Massano, 11th of August, Olschlaben, or however you pronounce it,
22nd
September. Yeah, then you got Detroit, October 20th.
I cannot wait for Detroit.
3rd. Yeah, Magna Call is December 1st, and Watkins Glen on December 15th.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to track selections, how do you guys go about working out what tracks you're going to do for your next season? Like, do you have an open discussion, or
everybody asks that.
or Ricky, do you just let Jimmy walk all over you and get what he wants?
You're joking, aren't you?
You guys be worse off, trust me.
Insert the Mad Max meme.
Oh my God.
Tom Hardy's. That's bait. That's bait.
I want 2 street tracks. The long and short of it is that there's about 9,000 phone calls for about an hour each call to, should we do like that final like run sheet that we've got, that was months of, should we do this? Like that thing's completely different to what it was when we first started talking about what tracks we're going to go to. Like literally every track on there has been changed around. Detroit might be the only one that was there steadfast, but the rest of them are all they've all been chopped and changed, and we try to keep
reasons for it.
Yeah.
I'm actually looking forward to Detroit because that's one of my favorite tracks.
That's a cracker. Yeah.
Rick
hates it.
me and Dean.
I don't hate the track. No.
Me and Dean have done it.
Sorry, go.
No, you're right. You go.
No, you go. Please continue.
I was just going to say that me and Dean, we've done a Saturday night VRS Enduro there once, and one of our teammates ended up in the same split. And what a VRS Enduro is, there's like 48 or 50 cars, I think, normally, something like that.
Yeah.
And
give or take.
And I remember just having that amount of cars at Detroit was just hectic. So I can't wait to have 59.
Well, look, to answer your question,
it should be awesome.
Before, and just touching off what you said as well, this is the first season where we've actually had the entire grid packed out with full season entries. Prior to that, we've had, I think, between 35 and 40 maximum, and the rest were filled in with individual event entries for particular rounds. Now, thinking of that, answering your question, like all things with the league, we do try and take it as much of a formal and methodical approach to things as possible. And people probably don't realise that there is a lot of thought that goes in to choosing tracks for the season. There are a number of contributing factors that are all equally important. They have to be considered. So it's a difficult thing, and not always can you please everyone. But in the end, we choose the tracks based on what we feel is in the best interests of the people competing in the events. And we'll give the league, good results overall in regards to being able to broadcast something successfully, have a large amount of viewers, that obviously attract sponsors. All this sort of stuff is linked to some extent. So it is a tedious one for us, and I'll be honest with you, people would think it's probably the most fun part, but it really is probably the most dreaded part, because it takes a long time for us to arrive at a decision that we're comfortable with, knowing that we can go into the season and not have any regrets, so to speak.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry.
It's got to house the whole field too. That's also a pretty quick
Yeah.
culling process, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we can't have Chicago on there.
Yeah.
Because like I was going to put forward Oran Park, but you know, they got me done.
I'm just glad that Pukekohe hasn't been released yet, because you'd have every Kiwi in the bloody league. Oh, why haven't we got Pukekohe on there? And it's like,
That'd be rabid.
what's that? That's about 900 metres long, isn't it?
Yeah.
have a car every 2.5 metres.
Have the human centre pad.
That's right.
Of a race.
Yeah.
It'd be the front first will be touching the back end of last place before you know it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. The back of the field will be a lap down on the start of the race.
Now, Jimmy, you we've had a conversation before about tracks and certain tracks that we like and don't like, and you tend to not like Charlotte Roval, which is a track I like. And
No, Charlotte Roval's okay.
Oh, you do? Okay,
Charlotte
cool.
Roval's okay. Yep.
Okay, but yeah, you
Whoa,
like,
hang on
you
a
don't.
I was just going to say, did you just ruin your question then, Packets? Was it all?
I might have. Sorry to shit on you early there. Go on, mate. There are others. I know where you're heading with this.
Yeah, no, it's all right. No, Ricky, what were you going to say there, mate? You disagreeing with what he's saying there?
I think that my message can be conveyed in the words that I said. I was surprised to hear what Jimmy just said, considering that it was actually something that was supposed to be included for this season, but his vote was actually against it. For whatever reason, I couldn't imagine. Previous statement, but anyway.
Are you insinuating that he got paid off for the vote? Or?
Right, yeah. So, all right, we're going to just assume that Jimmy's lying and he actually does hate the Roval.
Let's play pretends. Let's play pretends. I don't like Charlotte. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, you don't like Charlotte. You definitely don't like Sebring, do you?
Sebring can erase that from the platform.
Because it's too flat.
Yeah. Now, are there any other really good tracks that you don't like?
I feel like this is a stitch up. You're about to go, you're joking. Road America, pass.
What?
Pass.
Mate, I have to hold you on that one, because I had a very promising win there the other night, so that I got to hold that one very close to my heart there.
Would you say it was a Hall of Fame worthy win?
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, just don't be holding your breath for that to appear in Premier.
But when you apply the logic, it'll accommodate the whole grid. It's a big track, good for broadcast. I mean, how can you just flat out just disagree with what Rick was saying about how you go about selecting tracks?
Because we have vetoes. I wanted to go back to Long Beach, but we weren't allowed to. So that's the beauty of a democratic process.
The only track we can use is Detroit. Really?
Yeah, that's right.
Stuck with that, so.
Yeah, Chicago's too small.
I'm so glad that we're stuck with that.
Chicago doesn't have the pit stalls, but otherwise that'd definitely be on there.
Yeah, I'm so pumped for Detroit, but I can't wait for that.
Yeah, yep, that'll be. I think that'll give up some cracking racing too.
Yeah.
So, well, I
think this entire season is just going to be insane.
Yeah, I think for Detroit alone, you should do, given that it's a mid-season race, is throw in a little curveball and take away the fast repairs for that round. That'd be awesome. Imagine all the endings.
Is there discussions in regards to that?
That idea was floated.
There'd be a lot of natural culling going on in that race.
100%.
Just in most of them, there'd be a lot of natural culling. You'd have, it's just one of those things. I I mean, you know what it's like. You know, a lot of the guys do a boatload of practice for our league, and you know as well as anyone what it's like going into an enduro, and then in lap one or in the opening 5 minutes, you've been shunted by someone else that wasn't your fault, and then
hit by Ricky again.
Yeah, that's right. you might as well.
You're kidding.
You might as well be out of the race. So, giving them the one sort of, it's a bit of a get out of jail card, but like we've both discussed it at length as well. It's a pretty shitty way to end your Sunday night if and with such big fields, there's every chance that something is going to tee off at some point, and you don't want the guys are. They're paying to enter this. They want to enter the for the season, and to sort of take a race away from them after they've dedicated time to it's probably a bit rough. So.
Yeah, well, it's funny. It was a bit of a saving grace for me on the last round of last season. I had the most mega of net codes, and it absolutely busted the car, and I limped it all the way back to.
I was behind you.
Yeah, and I managed to finish my stint. I'm like, I'll just take a fast repair, and hopefully it's a safety car. And luckily there was. But yeah, on the last sort of 10 laps in that final safety car, I was in P3 there for a bit, and I ended up throwing it away at my own expense. But
you weren't alone, Packets. You were not alone.
But it was a saving grace there, because I was completely out of that race at that point. There was no way I was going to come back from that, and it definitely got me back.
I just wanted to go back. We glazed over a point before when Ricky was talking, but Ricky, you were mentioning that the grid's been entirely filled, but it's been filled by a whole season. What's the term? By people that have essentially paid for the whole season. So, previously in the past, you've offered as sort of like a pay-as-you-go per round fee of. I know you guys probably won't be comfortable talking about it. It was usually around about $10, and then you also offered a fee for the whole season. So we've moved, like, it's a pretty important point that you've actually secured nearly the entire grid of full season paying drivers.
Yes, yeah, that's correct. In the past, it's generally been like that. It's something that we've offered as a flexibility factor, and being such long events, it's something that is it's viable. To enter a single race, people might want to just have fun in general and participate, get an idea of what it's like to be in one of our events. It can be quite a bit different to some other things they've experienced. This season, obviously our general growth over the last couple of years and success is something we've built off, but now with the overhaul and the facelift, further refining things. Even though they were already working fine, we've found that it's attracted a lot more people in straight away. They're quite a bit excited about what's being presented in front of them. Their perception of the series that they're entering has changed slightly, and they're amped about it. They want to get in, they want to have fun, and it's attracted a lot of people. We weren't sure for a while there if we were going to end up with 2 splits for this season. It seems like that we won't quite have enough to do that, but it's exciting to see what the future might hold.
It also just must be reassuring as well, because a lot of those people might have elected to in previous seasons just go as the pay-as-you-go, but now they know what they're signing up to. They're probably happy to do a full season commitment, financially, and also just turning up. So, it's just further evidence, at least in my opinion, of just the job that you guys are doing.
Yeah, and it's good to see all that sort of stuff happen. It's rewarding for us. There is a lot of work, as you guys are well aware of, that goes into all this stuff. Sometimes it can be borderline obsessive to achieve the result that we want, the standard that we want. It's good to see. We're very, very happy with how everything's turned out. I'm pretty certain that this season is just going to be full of broadcasts that are just insanely dramatic. And that's what we want. We want drama on track. We want to see viewers at the edge of their seats, seeing, climatic events within the race itself, unfold. That's the sort of thing that gets everyone excited and coming back, and it keeps everyone watching. It gets sponsors involved. That keeps the circle going around again for everyone. It's all very important. So yeah, I'm very excited to see what's going to happen when the green flag goes at round 1.
Yes, and if you want drama on track, well then at least you've got packets there to create it for you.
Hey.
All rely on him to be about 20 metres back on his brake marker.
Wait. Speaking of 20 metres, I remember round 1 of last season where I went side by side with Jimmy at one point, and I don't think he was expecting me on overtaking him, and I managed to throw it in next to him, and I thought, I better go back and watch his stream and see how he reacted to that. And I think he legit thought I drove him off the track. But if you go back and look at the replay, it was about a 20-metre gap between us, and he kind of drove himself off the track.
I'm too much of a gentleman.
All in all, that was a good race. Those few laps I was with you, that was really good.
Yeah, we've had some good ones. It just sadly ends up with one of us or the other needing fuel or something else getting in the way.
Usually me running out of fuel.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm proving to be pretty proficient at that as well lately, so no comment.
That's awesome. And so you're re-upping again with, is it JP Broadcasting?
Yep.
Yeah. So tell us a bit more about
Englishman.
JP, the Mad Englishman. So yeah, I guess a lot of people that might be tuning in, Australian-based listeners may not be all that aware of who JP is, but maybe if you could give us a bit of information around him.
I don't actually know where you start with JP. He does a sensational job for us. He was critical, like probably a season and a half ago, 2 seasons ago, when we first got in touch. I think Rick actually tracked him down, and we got in touch with him, and it was just another step up for us, and the appearance of the races and the commentary. To an extent, I think the accent almost sort of helps and makes it sound a bit more of an international flavour as well. But the main thing for me was the way he. I don't know how. Scotty and Pete, both great commentators as well, and JP commentates as well. But I don't know, having had a go at doing commentary for one race, and it was just so sort of overwhelming. But then he's doing the editing between cars and going to different cameras while he's doing a call on the race at the same time. I'd hats off to him for how he does it. But it was definitely a step up for us with getting him on board.
Yeah.
And how did you find him? I was just going to say, how did you find him, Rick?
That came about through some connections I had to guys in the UK when we were first established in the UK league. I was put in touch with him through a fellow named Tom. Can't recall his last name now.
Weston,
that's right. Yeah, beg your pardon. And we had a bit of a chat, had a bit of a meeting, and went over a few things, and he was able to provide us with what we needed at the reasonable rates. Internationally, you've got to think about that. Here we are today, and he's been really good. And like Jimmy said, with this sort of thing, quite often it's about the sort of perception that you're able to provide people, the sort of theatre almost that you can create. And naturally, people associate GT style racing more with Europe.
With geezers.
Yeah, more with Europe.
That's right.
A little bit in Japan, and a little bit in the States as well, but it's mostly Europe when you think about GT style racing. And to have someone there with an accent, whatever European nation it is, it does add a little bit of genuine, realism to it.
Bit of flavour.
People feel like, it is more like the real thing where you do actually have a bit of international involvement. In Australia, obviously, the premier style event is supercars. Similar type things. So GT3, we don't naturally associate it so much with what we have here. So to have that, we think is a great factor. And when people are watching our broadcast, we hope that it is more authentic, so to speak.
The other thing I didn't sort of mention before, like the first few times we were just chatting with JP, we had a set of ideas that we wanted incorporated into the broadcast, and at no stage was the words "No, I'm not able to do that" mentioned. Like everything we said, and don't ask me to isolate one thing that we did ask him, but there was a few things that we said, are we able to do this? Are we able to do that? And he goes, yeah, that's no worries. Like, and it was done. So I think that was
hard.
Yeah.
Working with someone who's pretty capable and professional is always good. It's always very efficient.
Yeah, have you nominated him for any awards, Rick?
I think he's done with all that.
He's done with all that. Sorry, JP. No,
I thought we weren't talking about that.
Oh.
No, that's inside joke. We'll leave that. Sorry, JP, if you do listen. But obviously, over in Europe, like, it's insane, like how much different and how much more, like, I guess, serious they take sim racing. That there is these legitimate. I forget the name of the awards, but all to do with best broadcaster, best team, best livery, all this sort of stuff. Like, it's a big deal, and yeah.
Look at the years ahead of us.
Oh yeah.
I think it's just also that's population's a huge part of that. Like, we're 20 million people in Australia. If you go, like, UK alone's 80 million, and then you've got the rest of Europe. There's a couple hundred million people living over that way. So just by sheer numbers, you're going to have more people interested in sim racing, and there's going to be more of that sort of involvement. So I think that sort of, in a way, makes it easier for them.
I hope it does flow on out here, because that's exciting.
What would be really nice is I think there's enough of us here in Australia that they can probably put on a couple of servers in Australia for the special events, rather than sending us into European and North American servers with 800 ping. I think that's a bit. I think we get for lack of a better expression, the shit end of the stick when it comes to that.
Mm.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I think we've all been net coded out of races, and you're like, well, there's not a whole lot you can do when your ping's sitting at 400 or 500 and old mate Scotty's at 20 or whatever. But anyway, that's an aside.
The other thing with JP I was actually going to mention is one of the things we were looking for, and the reason why we actually had a Canadian broadcaster prior, is we found that when we first come onto the scene, we addressed, obviously things that were an issue for other people in the past to ensure that we were successful. And one of the things we've seen is that everyone's grouped under the same umbrella. There's only so many broadcasters in this region, and they're all basically on the same network. And everything looked very similar. Same people commentating regularly, same sort of style of camera work, imagery, all the usual stuff. And we wanted to be different. We wanted to have something that stood out amongst everything else that was around, and develop our own image, so to speak. And yeah, again, this is why we've always sought someone outside of the box, so to speak, and JP is a perfect fit for us. And again, like Jimmy said, he does a really good job.
Well, it's funny because I actually subscribed to his YouTube channel, and I swear that guy commentates like on the hour every hour for like so many different things. I didn't realize how much that guy actually commentated.
Yeah, he
He
knows a
does
lot of
heaps.
stuff.
Before,
Yeah.
because before Premier Endurance League, I honestly hadn't heard of him at all. And since I've come across him and subscribed to him, like there's some days where he will do like 3 different leagues in like one day, or it's crazy like how much he commentates.
And you look at the your most famous commentators of like motorsports, like in Australia, you got your Neil Crompton, and Formula One's got Martin Brundle. They're essentially, they only need to sort of know about 20 or 30 drivers.
Yeah.
But JP's commentating over so many different leagues, and I mean, it'd be easy for him to just sort of like essentially, pretty much phone it in for us, but he knows who's who, and I mean, that's stuff that develops over time, obviously, but like you said, he's doing that as a full-time gig. Like that's his business, and he knows who did what the race before, and obviously there's certain drivers that stick out as being more memorable for him, but like his knowledge his knowledge over the field as a whole is like no issue. Like, and if we get the odd person who comes in, like a new driver, he'll say through the race he'll be calling him and go, "Oh, this will be his first race," and he's pretty quick on it with all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think the combination of him and Rankin is a good combo with those two bouncing back and forth some nights.
Yeah, well, they're both mad as cut snakes, so that's, it works really well. Yeah, like, we love Scotty. He's a pretty big reason why we are where we are. Just, I think his first race he did for us, he commentated Spa on his own, and watching that back, we were like, holy shit, like how he manages it on his own, and made it exciting. I think we only had there might have been 20 cars in the race. And it was sensational. So and to have those two, they feed each other really well with what's going on in the race, and can't fault them. They do a great job.
Yeah, definitely.
It's definitely going to be one of the most. Talented. Yeah, it's such a key part to any successful league as well. Just having someone with impetus on the call. So we see other leagues try and broadcast and They do what they can, the best they can, but sometimes it's just not engaging enough to keep you watching.
That's right. Yep.
But these guys are there, very purposefully. We ourselves, obviously, we want the best guys around to be doing the job for us, and quite simply, they're in their game. They're right up there. They're very, very good at what they do. Scotty, we all know him with the man with the golden voice, and how he talks for as long as he does at the rate he does, we'll never know. He never runs out of things to say.
I did say to him at the end of last season, because he's always seeking not advice, because there's nothing I can offer him in that space, or anything that we want changed. And I said to him at the last one, yeah, if you could just take a breath every now and then, it makes me editing reels a lot easier, because he just gets on this roll and it keeps going, and I'm like, I've only got 1 minute that I can put into a reel, and Scotty's gone on for about 1:45 about an overtaking move. It's like, bro, I gotta edit this in, cut this in somewhere. But and of course we can't forget Pete either. Pete Baxter, he does a stellar job as well. They're both very different. Like Pete's very he's really good at working out what people are doing in the race, and he's had a couple where he's made calls on me that even in the middle of the race I wasn't even aware of, and it sort of played out how he said it was going to, and I'm just there being an ignoramus, peddling this car around, and he's like,
you said it, not me.
He'll be in around here, and sure enough, there I go. And I'm like, well, that wasn't even me planning that, Pete. You done well.
Pete's he's our tech guy, our stat man.
Yeah. He does he pretty much. Yep. He does the numbers during the week. So
I remember the last round of the GT4 was at Spa, where the camera was on me and Ricky. Ricky was in front of me, and like every lap, it was like I was reeling him in and then losing him. I was reeling him and losing him. And then it was coming into turn 1, the hairpin at the top of the hill, Spa, and they're like, "Oh no, he's setting him up. Oh no, you have to wait, blah blah blah." And like just as like Pete said that, I've just absolutely dive bombed the hell out of Ricky into the hairpin, and then like he just got sort of speechless. He goes, "Oh, you actually made that stick. Oh, that's bloody good." And then he just sort of got a bit speechless with it and started giggling. Like it was just funny, like to listen to him talk about it because it was just caught.
There was just a dive. There's no... coming from that far back. I had time to get out of the car. Walk.
There's nothing that Pete and Scott like more than watching Rick finish behind me, though.
Yeah,
that's their favourite Sunday night is watching that happen.
Amazing.
It just goes to show even the best technical commentator can't put himself into Packett's mind.
No. I don't think anybody could.
No, I think you'd be traumatized if you did.
Oh, how many psychologists have you retired, Packets? There'd be a few on that list. Oh no, I can't get inside that head. I didn't go to uni for 4 years to get into this.
Do you notice how he's speechless, Jimmy?
Yeah. No, I got to get him where I can. Yeah.
Well played.
Yeah.
With Pete, I was actually going to say, we hopefully will have a little bit more for him come in the near future. A lot of the systems that have been put in place are now somewhat integrated. And again, everything's kind of been refined and made sure it works together well. And one of the byproducts that we're going to have of that is the ability to extract out data and statistics from the previous seasons. So he'll have a lot more information that he's going to be able to draw on as time goes on with different people, and provide that to the broadcast, obviously. Giving them.
Well, that's not going to work out very well for people like me, because if he pulls out my data, he's just statistics are going to tell him that I'm either A, going to crash or B, run out of fuel.
Well, be a good talking point.
Flip the coin. Yeah,
that is pretty good, Bart.
You might be able to.
Because I was going to say, yeah, like I was going to say, like as you started saying that, like he'd be good for that because he's kind of like the Larko of the league,
yeah.
Like, and that's sort of what we're trying to get him into. To like, if we can give him the data, it'll just add another dimension and layer to the broadcast in that space, 100%.
And look, add into that as well. What it's mainly all about is we're actually going to have live standings now.
Huge. I reckon that's such a big, may not be measurable until people actually see what that does.
It's going to help a lot of different aspects. Not only will it just generally provide the information, but again, for example, what we experienced in round 5 last season, being the final in a deciding round and dramatic events unfolding, as we always like to see. We had Owen Coleman fighting back after a little incident, trying to make sure that he held on to his championship, and people trying to work out where does he need to finish. Factoring in everything that had happened throughout the race, and a lot of those including time penalties that people had received. This software, developed sheet I should say, will be able to account for all that on the fly. It'll automatically show us what is happening, and the commentators are then able to feed that story to the viewers, and not only that, the competitors know what's going on as well. So it's going to be a game changer. We're very excited, and we're very, very thankful. We've been working with Rue from FRG with this one. He's done all the work involved, with setting up these sheets to be able to provide us with this sort of stuff. There's been a lot of backwards and forwards going on for quite some time now, and it's going to be great to see it happen. And we've already seen a bit of it. They obviously use the software themselves. Again, I think this is going to be something that's quite a big difference when it comes down, especially to those critical moments like what we seen in round 5.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've just seen a little bit of it roll out with, I think it's used in pre-qual for scops. So, for someone like me that's always on the cut line, you can see where I might set a time on a Thursday night, and then I just watch my name drop down the leaderboard, down until I get close to the cut line. And then
I can relate to that. It usually happens when I get the first time lap of a session in. I'll go, oh, look at that. I'm in third or whatever, and then about 3 minutes later, it's like, oh, I'm 16th,
23rd.
16th. Yep. Still not too bad as an outright speed. And then by the end of the session, I'm 42nd. Wicked.
Yeah. It's like when you do an official in iRacing and you got 2 laps and you complete your first lap and it says you're in first or second, and then you've got like a 10-second period where you got to work out whether you're the first car to cross the line or not, and you just got to wait for everyone.
Or whether you're the first one to actually get a clean lap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yep.
All right. Well, guys, this has been a fun one, I think. But yeah, we've been going for 90 minutes now, so I think we might wrap this one up. But before we do, I just wanted to give you guys an opportunity to go ahead and give a few people a shout out or whatnot. Anyone key people that are behind the scenes there at Premier Endurance League.
Yeah, no, definitely. We'd like to thank obviously JP Broadcasting. He's been great with us the whole time. Always easy to work with. Rue at FRG, both Chris and Richard at Sudspeed. Another, again, massive help. They've helped us with all the latest PDF imagery and stuff like that. All the graphic work is done by Chris, and it's fantastic, the standard he's come up with. Print Racer, obviously Simon over there. Great guy to deal with. Big supporter for us. We're always very appreciative.
And the trophies.
Yeah, the trophies are just amazing. And all the other work he does as well. Go and check him out. He's fantastic. John Scott, Kosher there, always a great support for us again. We're very, very thankful to have him on board. Dash Off Road, they're a new sponsor of ours that just come on the scene. Matt Webber from Dash is again just absolutely fantastic.
Legend of a lake. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're again, so appreciative to have people like him on board, and then the other person we've got to thank is yourself, being Sim Racing in Focus, always showing support to what we do, and having us here and being very hospitable. And
the title sponsor as well, Blake from Gamer Gear Direct, who's been with us from day dot. Sensational support, and head into gamergeardirect.com.au to have a look at all the stuff he's got up there. There's some incredible stuff on his website. So he's on board with us again for this season, and just easy to deal with. The old saying goes, does what it says on the tin, and he's just each season he's in, and I think he's gotten a fair bit of business from all the guys, and so anyone who's listening, if you're after any sim gear, like flight sim, racing sim, golf sims even, get over there, have a look, because his stuff's unreal. Yep.
Yes, but there's a lot of other people in the background that do a lot of support work as well. Even yourself, Hughesy, with the photos and pictures you provided in the past. Things like that. Leith McLemont, again, is another person who's just always there for all sorts of things. He helps out with a lot of bits and pieces. There's just so many people that we could always thank, but we don't have enough time tonight, unfortunately.
Yeah, so there's a long list of people that are now involved in the league, so that's obviously good for growth, good for that, good for the league itself and you guys itself, or yourself.
I think it's just good for the sim community itself. For us, sort of like dealing with Rue and the Sudspeed boys, it's everyone's helping each other out to try and make everyone else's product better as well. Particularly Rue, he's been a massive help to us over the past sort of 18 months. So
Yeah, no, Roo has taught us a lot with their experience with FRG in the past 7 years or so now, maybe more. Yeah, it's been fantastic. We couldn't be more grateful.
Oh, that's awesome. And Jimmy, if people want to watch a world-class streamer, how can they find you?
Well, world class might be. Can we mute packets for a second?
Yeah.
No, you can. It's just
With pleasure.
search Aussie Tow Racing on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, and you can be one of the first 50 subs, I suppose. I've got plenty of videos up. A lot of them, as packets will tell you, a lot of them end up just getting randomly cut short because incidents happen. But there's some there is some entertaining stuff on there with the team the people that I hang around with during the races, so you never know what you're going to hear on it.
It'd be a bit hard on you trying to, start up a YouTube channel these days because, mostly in the past, like with YouTube, like they always got money based off, the amount of clicks a video or a stream would get. But these days it's based purely off by minutes watched. So that'd be hard on your sort of streams because they don't go for very long.
I'll let you have that one. Yeah, you can have that. That's fine.
I've been, during this whole process, like this whole sim racing in focus, it's just like a love, like a hobby. And I've also been learning a lot of things along the way. So one of the key statistics for a website is what's called a bounce rate. So I can imagine that's just when people click on your page and then bounce off it straight away. That might be happening to you quite a bit on your stream.
I'm going to blame the YouTube algorithm. But yeah, you never know. Like all you need is that one little snippet of a clip. I mean, look at Hock Tour. Like, I could have my Hock Tour moment. I've got Dutchie's usually in the Discord chat with me when I'm doing it. So like, there's
what, Hock Tour or racing?
A bit of both. Yeah. You just never know. You could be there when I have my viral moment.
And I'm sure Packets will be supportive of you when you do.
Packets is one of my greatest fans. Usually he's one of the few that actually comment in the stream, and it's good value.
Nice.
I think all I commented the other night was basically how rubbish the Mustang was.
Yeah. Yes, but that's right.
It's been super fun having you guys back on. Sorry to cut you off, Jimmy.
Nah, that's all right.
But no, just I just wanted to say thanks for coming back on again and sticking it out now, and a bit late at night. But obviously, people listening in, go and check out the league Discord on Facebook. You can find the guys with the Premier Endurance League through those platforms. But before we head off, I might throw the last call over to Packets for any words of wisdoms and where can people find you, mate?
Look, I'm. Come on, what do you got?
No, it's all you, mate. It's all you. Thanks for having us, boys.
No, well, I think everyone knows where to find me by now. I'm on Instagram.
You going that well, are you?
But anyone that's listened to it in the past knows. But more importantly, I just want to give Ricky and Jimmy the send off for the name that I created for them a while back. I gave them a combination name together, so as a whole, they are Remy, Jim, and Zali. So I just want to thank them for coming on, and definitely keen for round 1 coming up.
Yeah, you hope that sticks at some point.
It's going to happen.
All right, like we said before, this one's been a fun one. If you've enjoyed the show, make sure you head over to the Facebook page, give us a like, subscribe there, and you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and of course YouTube. Head over to the simracinginfocus.blog website and follow us along there. Like I said before, we haven't been super regular of late, with the podcast. We were trying to get one out every week, but now it's
You
sort of
need
been
more
once
fibre in your diet.
it's been more like once a fortnight. But you can stay up to date with things on the Facebook page. So thanks for tuning in, and until next time, it's bye for now.